already here.
I've only just got out the bath.
Did you put that wine in the fridge?
Yeah. Did you clean those empty glasses?
I've cleaned the glasses. I told you they were coming.
He did say.
Sorry.
Right.
Well then.
She says, do you want another drink? Stronger than a tea, kettle's on the blink. She says,
How about a whiskey match?
She could stretch to a Prosecco.
We might have rosé at the back.
she says, thanks so much for popping round. Got so much to tell you, you've hardly made a sound. She says, what a bloody day I've had, what a bloody day I've had, what a bloody day I've had. Come in, sit down, feet off the sofa. Come in, sit down, pull that chair a little closer. Come in, sit down, there's nothing on the telly. Come in, sit down, Sunday roast in your belly. Meeting's on, it's been too long. Just you and I, we could go wrong. Time for another story of your time and glory, your time and glory. She says, what's the weather like up there? We've had rain all day, going out, take care. She says,
Are you alright for money?
Don't forget that 50 quid.
Have you done your tax return yet, Mrs.?
she says, have you started dating yet? That boy on Instagram, me and Mandy have a bet. She says, I've told you that before, I've told you that before, I've told you that before. Come in, sit down, feet off the sofa. Come in, sit down, pull that chair a little closer. Come in, sit down, there's nothing on the telly. Come in, sit down, Sunday roast in your belly. Meeting's on, it's been too long. Just you and I, we could go wrong. Time for another story of your time and glory, your time and glory. She says,
Do you want some fancy bickies?
What are your plans next week?
Have you heard out from your dad?
Did you post that letter?
Have you signed up to the dentist?
Something slightly racist.
have you finished your drink? She
Are
said,
you going to get a car soon?
Are you still smoking, Mum?
Have
Quick!
you emailed your grandma back? Can you call your sister, please?
You've got a letter here from Thingy. Don't forget your keys.
have you finished your drink? Finished your drink, finished your drink. We say,
No thanks. I don't really fancy it. Maybe in a
maybe
bit.
in a
In a bit.
come in, sit down.
Feet off the sofa.
Come in, sit down.
Pull that chair a little closer.
Come in, sit down.
There's nothing on the telly.
Come in, sit down.
Sunday roast in your belly.
She says we should do this more. Leave those excuses at the door. Now it's time to listen. Those words were here before. 'Cause when she's gone and it's all done, heating's on, it's been too long. Just you and I, what could go wrong? Time for another story of your time, your glory, your time, your glory. Heating's on, it's been too long. Just you and I, what could go wrong? Time for another story of your time, your glory, time, your glory.
Bonnie and the Burnetts. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, your host and compere, Alfie Joey. Thanks very much. Thank you. How about that once more for Bonnie and the Burnetts? Great, invigorating start. More of that to come. There's lots of people limbering up backstage. The diversity night's wonderful. I was exhausted just watching them. I'm Alfie Joey. By morning, I'm a radio host on BBC Newcastle. By afternoon, I sometimes draw pictures. And then at night, I'm sometimes a comedian. So I'm steeped in the arts. And this is where I was trained to be on the stage, and I never quite made it. So I'm dead jealous of all the people you're going to see tonight. So you're going to see actors, you're going to see directors, you're going to see writers, you're going to see creatives, and you're going to get a little insight into everything that's coming here in the autumn season. Are you excited? Yeah. Nearly as much as me. So it is. It's great to be here. It's great to have Caroline signing. Round of applause for Caroline. And a few parish notices that we have to get out of the way, but these are really important as well because I know there's members here. Let's see if you're a member. 5 of you. Thanks for coming. That's great. No, you're vital to this place. You're vital to the organisation. Members, you've got priority booking for everything you see tonight. If you make your way out and take your pick, go to box office. It's open. Get in there till 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. You get first dabs. Let's hear it if you're a newbie. Yay! There you are. There's some. They're just a bit shyer, that's all. That's okay. Now, you're more than welcome. You're really important. Thank you very much for coming, particularly if you're new, because you can enjoy 20% off tickets to almost everything in the season. Oh, you've gone for the game show stuff. That's good, that's good. And I've got the chat show seats ready as well, so I'm going to make my way over there. And we've got something for everyone tonight, friends. So, as I say, Caroline's just to my left there. I'll be in the shadow to her right. Can you still see me? It's great. It's fine. It's fine. I'm quite happy in the dark. So, friends, this is a real treat. You're going to see exclusive access to some of the great minds and artistic talents that are coming to Northern Stage. Are you excited about this evening? That's my job done. All I've got to do is introduce the acts. The brilliant Bonnie and the Burnetts will be back to chat once they've sort of settled down. And I'm going to start. Well, I'm not going to start. We're going to start with a story. Would you like to hear a story? With some fantastic storytelling. Brilliant Gladys and Ben will take to the stage. Drag story time are going to kick things off for us, if you would.
Oh, all right then.
You sit there, and I'll sit down there.
Oh, hello. Good evening. Make yourselves at home. Welcome to Grandma's house.
Can we read a story?
Ben, I'm always reading your stories.
Well, I know that's why you're so good at it. That's why I want to hear one.
All right, okay. What story would you like to hear?
What about Perfectly Norman?
Ben, I've read you that one loads of times.
Oh, because it's the best one ever.
Okay.
Yes.
This is Perfectly Norman by Tom Percival. Norman had always been normal. Perfectly normal.
Like me.
Just like you, Ben. Until one day. He grew a pair of wings.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
Where would you go with a pair of wings?
I would fly to your grandfather's villa in Spain.
Oh, cool.
Where would you go?
I think I'd go to the Galapagos Islands.
Great pronunciation.
Thanks.
Okay. Norman had always imagined growing taller. Norman had always imagined growing a beard like his dad.
I want to grow a tash.
I've already got one. Norman had imagined growing, but Norman had never imagined growing a pair of wings. Still, they were here now, and so Norman decided to put them to test right away. Soon enough, Norman was swooping around and generally having the most fun ever. Until...
Oh, well, I want to hear the rest of the story.
Well, you and all the lovely people in attendance are going to have to come back another time, aren't you?
Oh, that's convenient.
When can they come back, Ben?
They can come back on the 6th of July at Northern Stage.
Yes. For spectacular drag story time with me, Grandma Gladys.
And me, Ben.
Right. Thanks very much, loves. See you later.
We're all coming back. Thank you, Grandma. Gladys and Ben. Please welcome to the stage Phil Douglas, Director of Curious Arts and Northern Stage Associate Artist. Thank you very much. Thanks, Phil. I wish I had a grandma like that. She's brilliant.
You can hire her, I think. So it's, we can talk after the show. Sorry.
Tell us a little bit more, if you would, about this year's Curious Festival.
Yes, so it's our biggest festival ever. It's going to be 10 days across the whole region, and the heart of it really here is in Newcastle here. And Northern Stage is a proud host of a lot of activity. So as we've seen there, spectacular drag story time. It starts a tour here as well of the region, so that's fantastic. It's spectacular. Sorry, I need to get the labels right. Yeah, so there's lots going on. We've got an exhibition which will be downstairs, which opens next Saturday. And there's also a taster event next Saturday. I know it's not quite the next season, but it's called Northern Stage is Curious. If you want to see a flavour of new kind of work from early career or established queer artists from the Northeast, but also from the wider North. And it's a real flavour. There's comedy, contemporary dance. There's a Stevie Wonderful tribute, if that's anyone's fancy. But yeah, there's also some really interesting new artists that Northern Stage is supporting. So they've been working with us to commission new work in Curious Festival for a number of years. And one of those artists will be trying some work out at that platform and also in the festival. There's lots going on. The spotlight is making me forget what I would share with you. But
let me lead you on, because there's a brilliant collaboration coming up with burgers. Just explain burgers. It's not something Ed Miliband was chewing on. It's actually an exciting collaboration.
Absolutely. So Burgers is a performance piece by an artist called Travis Alabanza, and it's coming here in November. So it's not in the festival, but it shows kind of how Northern Stage is really working with Curious, and we're looking at putting on content and shows that really represent our true diverse community. So if people see themselves in the theatre programme here, they're more likely to come and enjoy it. Burgers in particular, Travis is a queer person of colour. They identify as trans, and they actually had a hate crime incident. So a few years ago, they were out with friends down south, and they went to a takeaway after being out partying. And they had a burger thrown at them, as well as a lot of horrible transphobic comments. And then from that quite impactful moment in their life, they became obsessed with burgers. So you'll learn a lot about actual burgers in this show, because they researched how fast a burger flies through air, the calorific content that varies in lots of burgers, and the different tastes and flavours from burgers, but they really, really do kind of go into it. So we'll let you.
We'll have a watch. We'll have a little watch. Here we go. Burgers.
Stunning. Radical.
I think it's a smart, sensitive work.
So accomplished, so funny, so moving.
They have such an amazing and unique voice. Important, really important.
Smell those burgers. There you go. Fantastic. And House of Finesse, you're going to introduce them now onto the stage before you depart. Just tee this one up for us.
I am, yes. So part of Northern Stage's Curious Festival programme is a show called Rent Party. And that's very much a show about throwing a party, inviting friends round and raising money to pay your rent. So it's quite, if you research it, it's a thing that used to happen a lot in America when people were broke. So the themes of Rent Party is it's never been so fabulous to be poor, and being broke is fabulous, because we're living in a time of austerity. So Rent Party really does focus on voguing, and there's lots of rollerblading in it. It's really, really exciting. And the company that organise Rent Party is called House of Ghetto. They're a Manchester-based Vogue company, and they came up to Newcastle last year and worked with Curious, and we supported 3 talented performers who you'll see 2 tonight. So the House of Finesse is Newcastle's own voguing house, and they're going to come on shortly after I exit, and just show you a flavour of what you would see at Rent Party here in Northern Stage, and also Northern Stage is paired up with Dance City, so there'll be a Vogue Ball after party as well. But do come, and I hope you enjoy what you see.
All sounds good. Thanks to Phil Douglas there, friends. House of Finesse, take to the stage. House of Finesse. I pulled a muscle just watching that. That was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Vogue. It used to be just Madonna who vogued, and they've cornered the market. What happened to her? Never heard of her recently. Okay, this proves that we've got something for everyone. We move from that to an old favourite, but we're going to see what's been done with it, because at the Northern Stage, it's always something a little bit different. Please welcome to the stage, Jake Smith. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
Delighted when I heard you were doing Hound of the Baskervilles. The posters are already up.
Yes.
Tell me about this, a Sherlock Holmes classic.
Yeah, so we actually did our R&D last week. One of the special things that about this adaptation is it's done with only 4 actors, 4 rising, emerging actors from the Northeast, in an adaptation by Douglas Maxwell. So yeah, it's going to be...
Because when you usually see this, it's been done so many times, it's usually a cast of thousands. It's one of the busiest Sherlock Holmes books, and it's almost more Agatha Christie than Conan Doyle. So you're paring it down to the thriller element?
Yeah, we're going for the thriller element. One of the things that I've always wanted to see in the stage adaptation, because in the film you get a lot of it, is the thriller aspect and the kind of more woman in black quality. So we're hoping that it's going to be quite scary. We did a little bit of a play with how we make a hound materialise last week. So I'm not going to spoil it, because...
did it work?
It did work, yeah. Yeah, it did work.
How did you play with getting Sherlock Holmes in a way that hasn't been done before? Because it's been done by everyone's done Sherlock Holmes now since Basil Rathbone. Charlton Heston even had a go, and then you got Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't want you to give this away too much, but what have you done with that?
Well, we've gone for a particular approach in the adaptation where we've got a very broken Sherlock Holmes, and we meet him after he's actually lost the case. So it gives the actor something richer to play and something to find in. And also we're not shying away that we've got a younger Sherlock Holmes. We're not going to have him trying to be 60 years old or 50 years old, you know. He's going to play it to his age. So there's something kind of modern about it, even though it's still kept in the Victorian aesthetic. It's got a kind of modern performance style to it.
You said a Sherlock Holmes for the Netflix generation.
A Sherlock Holmes for the Netflix generation.
Love it. Sounds great. And you're going all over the place with this?
We are, yeah. We're very fortunate that the production premieres at Northern Stage, and then we head straight up to Glasgow, where we start our tour at Tron, and then we're touring all the way till, I think it's the first week of November, where we finish in Lancaster. So it's going on a really rich tour of the Northeast, both rural touring and then some big houses like Hull Truck, Theatre Royal Wakefield, all these places. So it's really exciting. And
I think it'll attract old and new to this one. So I think it'll be a hot ticket. Good luck with it, Jake.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to Jake, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, let's welcome back to the stage Bonnie and the Burnetts, friends. Are Bonnie and the Burnetts backstage? They're there anyway. I'll interview them. Here they are. I can feel it's all right. Oh, you look so different. There they are. Thank you very much. I'll give you a mic. There you are. Share the mic. So, you've changed. You're brilliant. You're fabulous. Thanks very much. That was a 3-minute sample of the story. Tell us about the story, And She.
And She is about our 3 mums. We wanted to make a show that explored Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's allowed.
It's about, we wanted to explore motherhood and femininity, but none of us are mothers, so we thought that we'd talk to ours, and through that they started telling us about their lives and about how they've experienced the world, and we actually found a really cool juxtaposition between our lives now and the ones that they've lived and what we're learning and what they've learnt. So it's just our 3 mums. Lovely. And all their stories, yeah. And
you're bringing along, I'm supposing, people who saw your last show, Drag Me to Love. How different will this be to that? What will people enjoy from that, and what new stuff can they expect?
It's not about me.
Yeah. Can be if you want.
No, this is the first time it's about someone else. It's our first time writing music, which is exciting and scary, but exciting mainly. We have MXYM as our sound designer, so it's more people in the room, not just us 3 going crazy. I mean, it's 4 people in a room going crazy instead. Yeah.
And you look fantastic. The costumes are gorgeous. Who did those?
Von Fox Promotions, and the photographer is Sophie, who's up there. Yeah, that were a very cold forest. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you were fantastic. Take a
you.
bow again, guys, now, and you can relax and enjoy the rest of the night. I'll pinch your mic. Thank you. Brilliant, brilliant. Bonnie and the Burnetts. Okay, we move on now to... I'm just going to introduce a few of the highlights now that are on the way. Bonnie and the Burnetts are not the only local artists coming to Northern Stage's autumn season. Also, you've got to look forward to Alex and Eliza, written and directed by Uma Butt. We'll find out what happens when a grandma who's lived in the same house for about 40 years gets on a plane to visit their grandchild who lives 7 seas away. Great dramatic narrative in that one. In September, you can look forward to Rosa Postlethwaite's one-woman show Composed, which looks at what happens when the composition actually cracks. And Mama Ree invites you to her Lady Garden for a cabaret that's very seductive. And there's lots of dancing, lots of frolics to be enjoyed in that one as well. And we can't let this go without a mention to our Northern Stage's young company. They blew the roof off here. They had to put on extra shows. They went down so well in April. Here's a reminder in case you missed it.
From the day you were born, into thine kingdom come.
And how am I doing?
Honestly?
It's often the best policy.
Those powerful women of old Hollywood.
Male, female, fluid, gay, bi, straight, pan, transgender. One of these screens represents you. Brexit is tearing this bloody great country of yours apart.
But I'm on Pizza Hut with my friend.
Shall we extol thee?
We are equal, and we won't stop dancing.
It's official. We're at war.
Excellent. Let's hear it for the young company. Invigorating. Really fresh talent, raw talent, talent for the future and for now. Right, this show is already successful. It's been the West End, it's been the Lowry, it's been all over the place, and it's still a new show. Please welcome Henry Fielder Bennett, who's written the stage adaptation of Nigel Slater's Toast. While you make yourself comfortable, shall we have a little watch?
Sure.
Here we go.
It's impossible not to love someone who makes you toast. People's failings, even major ones, like pouring too much water in the jam tart mix, disappear as you break through the toasted crust and get to the doughy cushion of white underneath. It can be thick or thin, crisp or soft, gold or brown or black or a bit of all three. But like bedsheets and underpants, a perfect piece of toast can only ever be white. Mum says brown bread toast is for old people who suddenly decide they should look after themselves a bit more. Burnt. Mum burns the toast as surely as the sun rises every morning. In fact, I doubt she's ever made a round of toast in her whole life that hasn't completely filled the kitchen with smoke. It is impossible not to love someone who makes you toast.
Let's hear it. For Toast. A toast to toast. Brilliant.
See you later.
Looks great. Stay there. What did Nigel Slater make of this?
He's very generous and lovely about it. I think it was always going to be tricky for him, so he's seen it turned into... He wrote this column for The Guardian, The Observer, years and years and years ago, and it became Toast, and Toast then became a radio play, then it became a TV film, now it's become this, and I think because you're so close to it, and because you can literally taste some of the stuff that's in the show, I think he always feels that bit is particularly odd for him. So there are bits that we've made up that aren't in the play that I think affect him more than we thought it would, because it is made up. But he's very lovely about it.
I've got to say, I don't watch any cookery shows except Nigel Slater, because he's dramatic. It's almost wistful, it's melancholic. He just colours things with his language. He always looks slightly sad when he's explaining things. He does. Cutting into a butternut squash. Yeah. It's like seeing a ray of sunshine in your otherwise Spartan kitchen. And it's just... And you think, where's he got that from? It's brilliant. And that's what you feel.
But you can
that.
do the tour. The other thing which I think is amazing is that he speaks... I don't know if people listen to him or watch him on telly, but he speaks in such a specific way. And Giles, who's playing Nigel on tour, he completely nails it. He is, if you can be more Nigel than Nigel, it's really weird. Yeah, it's good.
And what have you enjoyed most about taking it around different venues?
To be honest... well, it's only been to 3 venues. Yeah. So the best thing I think was I used to work at the Lowry, which is where it started, and that bit for me was the best bit, because you don't get to... London gets first dibs on a lot of shows, and that's great. We need London. It's amazing. But it's also great to create work that can then go to London after we've created it in the North, and that's the bit I liked most. It's weird also seeing the audiences in different parts of the country getting different bits. So the references to London go down way differently in London than they do in the North. And in Edinburgh, some bits went down very oddly as well. Well, but oddly. Yeah, I'm not selling it well.
You are. I think it sounds great. And this could sell it. Is the food involved? Do the audience get nibbles?
I think so. They do now, and I hope they will continue to. It all depends on who's going to make it, basically. The one thing Nigel is really precious about is the food, as you would expect. And so the food has to go through processes and processes. When we started at the Lowry, we had to have like a full-on tasting where the head chef had to present to Nigel. It all got a bit odd. But no, assuming it can be made to work on tour, it will, hopefully, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, good luck, Henry. Thanks very much for talking to us.
Thanks.
Let's hear from Henry. Henry Philo Bennett. Going to tell you about a brand new show now. It's called I Have Met the Enemy. And we were hoping to have Evie Manning here, who's the Commonwealth's Artistic Director. And this is an exciting new show. She can't make it tonight. And it's about how the arms trade affects us here. And sometimes when these things are in the news or they seem very, very far away, we think that can't really affect us. But this play really does open up how it is connected to the way we live and things we do, and how we come across these things very subtly in day-to-day life here in the Northeast. And this play, I'm really excited that it's not going to be here. It's going to be at Biker Community Centre, which is a fantastic venue in a fantastic place. If you ever get a chance to go around the Biker Wall, it's the 40th anniversary of that special part of East Newcastle. And I had walked around it the other day because I wanted to interview someone, and I accidentally met the architect who lives there and is so passionate about the Biker Wall and that strange structure. He started to host his own evening tours. You can have a walk around, well worth it. And the council have started to care for it a bit more. And at the centre of it is this brilliant, dynamic community centre. I'm sure you're aware the Shoe Start centres have started to disappear, and we've lost sense of community in some places. But some community centres are hanging on and are coming back with a vengeance. And at the centre of the Biker Wall is this brilliant place, Biker Community Centre, and that's where we're going to be putting on I Have Met the Enemy. So a round of applause for that, the brilliant outreach work we do here. That'll be in Biker in October, and I think it's fantastic that, you know, some people from Biker would never ever end up here, so it's brilliant that Northern Stage goes to Biker and places like that, so brilliant stuff. Okay, let's welcome to the stage Andrew Hughes from English Tour and Theatre to talk about Reasons to Stay Alive. Thank you to Andrew.
Thanks.
So tell me about this. So some people will have read the author behind this and the columns, and And I think a lot of people will be aware of the subject matter because we're talking about it more. So just speak a bit to that, Andrew.
Yeah, so the book Reasons to Stay Alive is by Matt Haig, and it's an international award-winning bestseller. And this production is the first time it's been adapted for the stage, and sort of any of his books have been put on stage. So it's a really sort of exciting challenge. Reasons to Stay Alive, the book and the play follow, is a memoir about Matt. And it talks about him, it meets him at a point in his life when he was really struggling with his mental health, and it's about his journey through that and out of it. And it's about mental health, and it's a really serious subject, and it's something that we should be talking about. And Matt Haig himself is a huge advocate now, as well as being a sort of best-selling author. But when I read the book the first time, I was really surprised at how joyful and uplifting it is, and it you know, it says in the title, it really is about finding the reasons to stay alive. So this adaptation that we've done is has a script by April DeAngelis, who's one of our sort of most exciting UK writers, and is going to be directed by Jonathan Watkins, who comes from a movement and choreography background. And it's a sort of real exciting challenge of how you can turn a memoir into a stage play using all the theatrical tricks that you've got to put on stage.
What were the biggest challenges, would you say? Because I'm delighted you're having this as a show, because on local radio, we're trying to chat about this all the time. Every week, we throw stories into the mix because we want it to be normal conversation. To make a normal theatre, how have you done that?
Well, it's a challenge. I think what's brilliant about the book and what's going to be brilliant about the play is that it really follows a very specific moment in Matt's life, and it doesn't have to. What's brilliant about people talking more about mental health is that every time you make a piece of art and we're making a play, it doesn't have to be an every person's story. So we're not saying that this is the story of everyone's mental health. It's very particular about this is Matt's journey through it. But then, because it's Matt Haig and he's a bit of a genius, he talks a lot about his particular struggle, but also the world and constellations and stars and the bigger picture. And so it can turn into a conversation about mental health, but not in a sort of NHS guidelines way. It really is a joyful representation of one man's story and uplifting. And because it's on stage and Jonathan has a movement direction background, it's going to be a sort of brilliant theatrical adaptation, and so it's going to be a bit crazy, and we're still working out how we're doing it, but that's really exciting, and we're so excited to come here with it.
You've sold it to me. Thank you very much. Let's say for Andrew Hughes. Thanks, Andrew. Okay, friends, from that to the Bard of Stratford-upon-Avon, Midsummer Night's Dream with music. I love a spin on an old classic, and that's what we've got here. There's music from Billie Holiday, there's music from Nina Simone in this. It's the Watermill Theatre production in September, the same company who toured the Wipers Times recently. Let's watch a little trailer they put together of this.
If we offend, it is with our goodwill. That you should think we come not to offend, but with goodwill, to show our simple skill. That is the true beginning of our end.
My baby don't care for shows. My baby don't care for clothes. My baby just cares for me. My baby don't care for cars and races. My baby don't care for high-tone places. Liz Taylor is not her style, and even Lana Turner's smile is something that she can't see. My baby don't care who knows it. My baby just cares for me.
Brilliant. Can't argue with those reviews, and for me, you can't argue with the Great American Songbook. If you want to, I'll be in the bar. Here's a little countdown of some of the family shows that are coming here. These are brilliant for all the family. I can't recommend Ballet Laurent highly enough. They are absolutely sensational. The Lost Happy Endings is yet another fairy tale that only Balaileron can do, where they do everything. They do the dance, they do the storytelling, narrated by Joanna Lumley. The music's sumptuous, and the dance is second to none, and it really is for all the family. I've seen every one of their fairy tale stories. It's so accessible, and it's so well researched as well. Liv, the creator, goes right back to the source material, and it's just fantastic. Merchant of Venice, the idea of this, it's the RSC who bring in a special shortened version, especially for all the family. Again, this could be a great first encounter of Shakespeare for everyone from the ages of 7 to 13. Slime, lots of squelchy, lovely fun. Kids aged 2 to 5 love mess, and this is all a celebration of mess, and it talks about how hard it can be to be a slug. This is The Gingerbread Witch, a fairy tale set in a Scottish village created for deaf and hearing audiences to enjoy together. And at Christmas, Northern Stage's littlest theatregoers can look forward to Wolf, which is brought to you by the company Kitchen Zoo, who did the smash hit at Christmas for the little ones, The Three Bears at Christmas. And while we're talking about Christmas, let's introduce, who I can call him Mr. Christmas now. He has been Mr. Christmas here for quite a while now. Mark Calvert, he doesn't want a long introduction. He wants to get this over with. Northern Stage's Associate Director. Thanks for short on, long off. That's what they say. Congratulations on a Christmas carol. The last time I was chatting to you, I think it was just over there somewhere.
We were just over there.
Yeah, watching a rehearsal, and it was a smash hit. It was
buddy.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was the company were amazing. I mean, they worked so hard, twice a day, 4 hours a day of high cardio. You know, multiple skills, music playing, running around, dancing, and telling that story so beautifully. You know, we had a great time.
In a very different way, in an unexpected way.
Yeah, unexpected way. You know, we moved it into the 20s to try to sort of bring some of that music into those Christmas carols, to make it, I don't know, more current for a younger audience to come and watch, more accessible. We got rid of the Victorian penury and sort of went for the sort of the joy inside of that one man's journey to find redemption.
In the round as well. I mean, that must be a major challenge.
Yeah, it's quite big. You know, when we sort of make the shows, we take this wall out here, and so we have a playing space of something like 30 meters, and so it's a big space to fill. And sometimes it feels like you're sort of just directing traffic. It feels like sometimes I'm working in an Amazon factory, where I'm just sort of moving things around. But yeah, it's a big experience.
And it's a cliche question, but how do you follow that?
Oh, well, here's the thing. Thanks very much. This year we're going to do a Snow Queen. It's not going to be Frozen. We're getting but even though Frozen 2's out this Christmas, which is like amazing. So we're going to do a adaptation of it. It's going to be full of music, it's going to be full of song, it's going to be full of movement. And this year, to complete our team, which is a similar team to last year, Rhys Jarman, who designs for Gecko and has designed the last 4 Christmas shows here, Martin Hilton, who's doing the choreography, Nick John Williams, who's doing the sound design, and Jeremy Bradfield and Hannah Biel. Sanders are both returning to write the music for it. But this year, I think we've completed the jigsaw where we've got a local writer to write it, Laura Lindo. And Laura Lindo is, I think, one of my favourite writers.
Why?
Well, you said sumptuous. Yeah. And I thought, I'm going to have to describe this. And her words are sumptuous. And her worlds are sumptuous. And they definitely sort of regale an audience. They also understand an audience, and I think she's going to write such a beautiful thing. And
she's been nominated for a Culture Award.
She has.
You've been nominated for a Culture Award.
We're going tomorrow.
Tomorrow night. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Break a leg. Did you say Laura had written she couldn't be here tonight?
Well, she's not here tonight, so I'm going to try to attempt to read this, but I don't want to sort of do a disservice by my bad reading and like adrenaline choke paper shake. So I'm going to read it. So these are Laura's words, and when she says we, it's not the royal we. It's just us. So the chance to write for young people and their family Christmas theatre experience is quite an undertaking. We take so seriously the joyous mission of floating you off into a world of adventure and bringing you safely back in time for Christmas dinner. We're trying to honour a classic tale, but injecting a few extra twists and turns, reimagining it, but not unrecognisably so. We're building a story of epic scale that can skate you off from your comfy theatre seats into a frozen world of wolves and uncharted icy waters. The never more timely narrative undercurrent is that this beautiful world is bigger than we may have mapped, and that we need to recognise the dangers of the older world, the daftness of irrationality of the adult world and the resilience of the young people and the iron potential that courage and love can lend. We're currently pulling it all together, all the beauty, the intrigue, the darkness and the magic, distilling it into a vibrant and at times chilling escapade, adding a touch of TV's Vera or Red Hand Gang for those fellow-aged, plus a pinch of Wicked maybe, and stirring it all together with a box of delights, a Railway Children's stick, sprinkling it with a Christmas garnish, and we're all done in a couple of hours. It won't be preachy or teachy, but as tasty as a darn good yarn.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
I feel it now, even though it's sunny, I feel I want it to snow. Thank you, Mark. Let's hear from Mark.
Bye-bye.
Brilliant. Right. Home turf for me, this. Let me tell you about the comedy that's on its way here. You've got some of the very, very best on its way. Daniel Kitson, one of the best comedians, I think the best comedian I've ever worked with, I've ever seen. I used to gig with him quite a lot when we started out. I was with him the very first night. He did his first 20 minutes, and he was electric then, and he's gone on to win the Perrier Award. He's gone on to tour everywhere. He's just a hot ticket. He's done off-Broadway, and if you've never seen him, you've never seen a storyteller like him. His words are rich. His stagecraft is second to none. I can't recommend him highly enough. Same with Jason Byrne, who is a dynamo, a bouncy Irish storyteller. Again, joke after joke, story after story, an absolute joy to watch on stage. He's brilliant. Then you've got a double act. We've got Frisky and Manish, who are inviting you into their pop lab. That's a sensational cabaret from them. And then we've got a musical, Friends the Musical. They'll be there for you. Sorry. That's going to be great. It's 20 years since Friends was made, and they've turned this into a really fun musical, Friendsical. It's going to be brilliant. So that's your comedy. Right, let's move back to dance and dramatic narrative. Please welcome to the stage Gary Clark. Thanks, Gary. Hello. Hiya, Gary.
Hello.
This is right up my street. I'm from the East Durham coalfield, and this touches on the pits and life after the pits. Tell us more about Wasteland.
So about 3 years ago, I created a piece of work called Coal, which was made to commemorate 30 years since the 1984 and 1985 British miners' strike. I'm from Grindthorpe, which was part of the coalfields, and saw kind of firsthand what happened to the dismantling of the mining industry. And I was compelled to make a piece of dance theatre which looked at those times. So we toured coal all around the country. It came to Newcastle, did very well. It sold out for 3 nights. And we're back with a sequel called Wasteland. And Wasteland looks at life 10 years later. It looks at the death of industrial Britain and the rise of UK rave culture, which you wouldn't necessarily put them side by side, but they're incredibly close. So we see how these kind of young people, the next generation, coped in an era of kind of political and radical upheaval.
Let's have a little watch. Should we have a little
Great.
taster? Here we go.
Colliery closure 3 weeks ago in South Yorkshire, which sparked off the strike.
I'm proud to represent you. You know, and nobody could wish for a better fit than
We've got coal running through our veins. We're a breed apart, and we thought we could take her on. But Thatcher, she smelled blood.
There's our security correspondent, Sut Stratton.
looks fantastic. And yes, I think so. And I think very sadly, timely as well with what's happened to the steel industry. We know too well about the disappearance of heavy industry in the northeast, and it's happening around the country now to a horrible effect. And just explain, you did before to me brilliantly, how the places people used to do rave connected completely with the coal mine and the demise of the coal mine industry.
I think it's fair to say that Wasteland looks at rave before it became popular, before it became commercialised, especially the illegal rave culture, where a lot of these raves that were happening used to happen in places of work, so derelict warehouses and mills and factories that once used to home work, but now it became like a new community for these young people to get together and express themselves through music and dance. And I find that amazing, actually. And some of the rave language in terms of movement that came out was sometimes recognizable of work, and also the music that was used also sometimes kind of was akin with some of the sounds that you heard through industry, of this kind of repetitive beats that used to happen. So for me, the parallel between the mining industry and the rave culture is incredibly close.
And doing both shows, is one a companion piece for the other, or was it a very different experience doing one for the other for you?
Well, Wasteland should very much feel like a sequel, although if you've not seen Cole, it should feel very much like a standalone piece, so it should be very, very independent. But yeah, it kind of comes under the same umbrella, I think.
Gary, thanks very much. It's a winner. It looks fantastic. Come and see Wasteland. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
And finally, it's our epilogue almost. Pride and Prejudice is coming to the Northern Stage. Because it's Northern Stage, it's with a brilliant twist. Let's welcome the writer and the director. We've got Isabel MacArthur and Paul Brotherson. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think you're sharing a mic. So that's fine. So we've got Isabel, you're the writer. Yes. Just tell me what's different, what's unexpected about this.
What's different? Well, I think when we started to think about what it would be to adapt this story, we're aware of so many of the things that might put people off a Jane Austen, because actually novel form might not necessarily be accessible to everybody. There's so much stuffy, starchy, different cultural associations. Or if people go, oh, I Pride and Prejudice, you go, okay, you know it, right, great, what's that about? And they go, Colin Firth, or so there's that kind of. So I think we were keen on what it would be to make it in such a way that anybody could enjoy a great romantic comedy, whether they were a big Austen aficionado or just somebody who'd literally never heard of Pride and Prejudice before. So that has led to quite a few specific differences.
Explain, because this is quite exciting.
Well, in this case, I think we thought a lot about why. So you may have those associations which are negative from school, where you were forced to read it and you found it difficult, or it may be just a kind of, actors on telly looking into the middle distance with kind of plummy accents, and that maybe that's Jane Austen. And a lot of the time where we sort of socialise, or when we're speaking to our families and stuff, people just having fraught conversations in drawing rooms, like that's not inherently dramatic. So this story is told from the point of view of the servants, and the ensemble are a group of 6 Regency-era female servants who multi-role and hat swap in order to sing and play and tell the story and play every character. So it's told from that perspective, so it's a question of looking at it all a little bit askance, but very affectionately, because it's a funny story. It's
Brilliant.
great.
And how's that been to direct? It sounds like a full-on collaboration between the pair of you.
Yes, it's been good. Yeah, no, it's been great. I think we were kind of just being a wee bit devilish and kind of thinking, doing Jane Austen in Glasgow is a bit of a hide into nothing. So if you can make it work in Glasgow, you can make it work anywhere. And folk liked it. And, the fact of the matter was, Jane Austen was 22 when she wrote the first draft of Pride and Prejudice. And it's so funny, actually. Like, I found it really hard yards when I read it years ago. But actually, when you go back and revisit it, it's so funny. It's so well done. And when you think of the success of people like Phoebe Waller-Bridge doing Fleabag, like, Jane Austen is everything and more. Like, she's totally brilliant. And then, actually, the reality of it was,
all the best actors in Glasgow are women. So like, no, it's true. Like the brilliant young female actors. So it was just a vehicle for them to show their skills. Do you know, that was part of the reason to do it. Yeah.
I mean, classics are classics not because they're old and stuff. Classics are classics because they can be reinterpreted in a fresh way. And how exciting are the cast? And you said that everyone who's enjoying it in Glasgow love it. For what reason? What kind of feedback have you had from the audiences that they've enjoyed most?
Oh God, I don't know. That seems so big-headed for us to say, really. But
sell the sizzle.
I know it's so cheeky. No, I think like we have karaoke in the mix. That's a big part of what we do. There's a lot of pop songs. We try to riff on cultural memories of Jane Austen, like that whole idea of like that is the classic rom-com. Everything we love watching those stories, and so we wanted to use all the love songs that everyone ever associates with every love story they've ever had in their own lives. And so we've got all these classic songs in the mix. At any moment where it starts to get too earnest, we just try and cut through it. And I think that the heart of it is like, we love Jane Austen. Like, we're not going to do her over. We're going to do her well. And I think that's the point, do you know? That's what I'd say.
And also there's a kind of, and I think this translates very much like across the border, a tradition of kind of music hall that's slightly drawn on, whereby we're talking like personalities on stage, live musicianship, singing, and just high entertainment. It's a laugh. That's like what it's supposed to be.
And could I just ask you, when you're writing for an all-female all-female performers, are you bearing that in mind as you're writing, or does that just go out the window and you just forget that?
No, if you're writing Mr. Darcy, you're writing Mr. Darcy, and the actor's going to come and perform that part. I will. Yeah. And how unlikely, you know. I would never get to do that.
And same for directing. When you're directing all female, it doesn't matter.
No, definitely not. No, not at all.
Listen, it's exciting. You've sold it. I know you're a bit humble about it, but you've got nothing to be humble about. It's going to be great. Pride and Prejudice, friends. Thank you very much. Brilliant. You can go and have a sit down. That's it, friends, apart from get yourself to the box office and help yourself to whatever tickets you fancy. Book early for some will sell out quicker than others, obviously. And thank you to Caroline for signing brilliantly. Thank you. I don't know how you did my Nigel Slater impression, but well done. And go and enjoy yourselves at the bar and network and meet each other and have a gin and tonic. And thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.